Hi everyone and welcome back. I'm Heather Noble and today I will show you how to change color mid-row with Mosaic Overlay Crochet. After trying several methods, I've found that carrying both colors the entire row and using anchored double crochet stitches give the most polished finish on both the front and back sides of the work. By carrying both colors the entire row, you keep the tails at the edges and can hide them with the rest of the tails in a double border. And by using anchored double crochets, you can easily hide the extra color within your work by burying it inside your stitches. Okay, I want to show you, this is the swatch that all the double crochets are anchored. And if you look at the back, it is very neat. There aren't any ridges that stick out. There aren't any carried little bits of color. It's very polished and neat compared to when I don't anchor. You can see that there are little tiny color carries. And then you can also see the ridges. Now the ridges haven't bothered me, and the color carries didn't bother me until I saw this. And it is very important to me to have polished work, so I really, for me, my personal preference is going to be the anchored stitches to do color changes. I'm at row 2, and in row 2 I start with color A, and then here will be a color change to color C. So let's go ahead. I'm going to attach both colors at the beginning. So I'm going to grab my color A first and start my border stitch under both loops. Pull up a loop, chain 1, insert my hook back in the same stitch under both loops, and here's where I add color C. So I'm going to lay color C across my hook, hold it in place with my finger while I go over the top with color A, complete my single crochet, and that tacks color C into place on the back. So now I see that I have 2 single crochets and then 4 double crochets. I'm going to bury color C with every stitch of this row because I'm going to anchor all the double crochets. So just kind of holding it next to the back loop here. I have 2 single crochets, so I'm going to pick up the back loop and work under the back loop and color C and complete my single crochets around both of those. Back loop and color C, single crochet. So now I have 4 double crochets and I'm going to anchor them. So the way that I anchor a double crochet is I pick up the back loop under both the back loop and color C because we're burying it, and I pull up a loop. That's just like when I start a back loop single crochet. But instead of finishing the single crochet at this point, I'm going to yarn over and make a double crochet. Pull through 2. Now, because I started by picking up the back loop, I have 3 loops on my hook for that final pull through with an anchored double crochet. So if you anchor any of your stitches, it's going to add a loop to your final pull through. So I have 4 of them. So I'm going to pick up the back loop, yarn over, and double crochet. Again, starting in the back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. Let's do a 4th one. So that's 4 double crochets, and if I turn it over, you can see that color C has been buried behind in all of the stitches. So there's no long strands or gaps to take care of later with the anchored method. Okay, continuing on, I have 2 singles, 2 doubles, 2 singles. Varying color C in each stitch here. 2 single crochets in the back loop, 2 anchored double crochets, pick up the back loop, and then double crochet. And then 2 singles. And 4 double crochets. Then 3 single crochets. And then a double. Here's what the back side looks like. So I'm halfway through row 2, and I know that I'm going to have to change color coming up here. So this stitch right here before you see a color change is where you want to do the changeover. So you're going to have 2 single crochets, and then we're going to change color on this stitch here. So let's do that. We have 1, 2 single crochets, and now this is the stitch we're going to change colors. So we're going to start our single crochet, and when we get to the point where it's the last part of the stitch, instead of yarning over with color A, we're going to pick up color C, yarn over, and pull through that final loop. So we have changed colors on that stitch. Our next stitch is a single crochet. So pull color A up next to that back loop so that we can work under it and vary it in that stitch. So here we have completed our color change. So now we have an area that is tricky to people who haven't previously worked with my angled stitches. We have an angled arrow 2 to the left, then an angled slant 1 to the left, and then a double crochet symbol. So all of these symbols are in my stitch key, and you can see dedicated videos about each one of them. But what this actually means is if we count over 2 to the left from this angle, 1, 2, we're working into our double crochet loop. If we count over 1 to the left from this slant, 1, we're working into this double crochet loop. So what this actually means is all 3 of these stitches work into the same loop. So because they're anchored, they're going to look a little different than before. So like I said before, because we're picking up this back loop, this adds a loop to our finished double crochet. So we're going to end up with 3 on the 3 there. Okay. So then we have 1 to the left into the same loop, and then we have a regular anchored double crochet. So then we have 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we have, I'm going to move this highlight so we can see this yellow box. Sometimes this highlight covers up the yellow. A yellow box means an angle decrease, 1 to the left in this case. So with an anchor, that's going to make it a little different. It's going to add that extra loop at the end like we talked about before. So we're going to start the same way by anchoring that back loop. Then we're going to start directly below and do half of the stitch. Leaves 3 loops on the hook. Now yarn over and pick up the next stitch for the decrease. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2. Now this leaves 4 loops on the hook because we have an extra loop for the anchoring. Then we have 2 single crochets. The next single crochet, because technically this angle stitch lays here and it's angled over to the left, so there is a stitch behind the angle that we need to not lose or we'll get off with our stitch count. So here it is, it's hidden. It's a single crochet, and then the next one is a single crochet, oops, and then a border stitch. Chain 1. Let's take a look at the back. So we've done the color change and we've buried the color the entire length of the row. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions, and thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.